Tonight, the midterm elections, they are over, but the balance of power on Capitol Hill is still very much in flux. As we predicted repeatedly on this show, key races across the country were decided by razor-thin margins, many elections yet to be called. This is not a surprise. We knew it would be extremely tight. We warned all of you every night. In fact, on election eve, we pointed out the razor-thin margins that decided 2016 and 2020, and we made this prediction, just to remind you. As a reminder, three key swing states, if you go back to 2016, propelled Donald Trump to victory in 2016. The combined vote of those three swing states, 70,000 votes. 2020, 43,000 votes in three states. That would be Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona, decided the election. If you stay home, Democrats, well, they're likely to win, and you will get the government you deserve. We are warning you. We warned you. Now, I can't say for sure where the rumors of the red tsunami started, because polls in almost every key race were within the margin of error, mostly only 1 or 2 points, and every state a bellwether, a swing state. The glowing predictions of a big red wave were, frankly, a little foolish. And I have a rule in life: never overpromise and underdeliver. You want to, underpromise and overdeliver. This is a deeply divided country. You know, people will vote for a Democrat just so they have a rubber stamp, as long as they have a pulse, where, by the way, turnout matters and every single vote is critical. However, we do have good news tonight. You heard some of it with Kari Lake. But first, Nevada, where Adam Laxalt looks like the favorite now to win the Senate seat in Nevada. Now, Kari Lake is now the heavy favorite to win the governor's race in the state of Arizona, where new vote totals are coming in as we speak. And the race for the Senate in Arizona is very real tonight, and Blake Masters does, in fact, have a solid path to catch Mark Kelly. It will be close, but it is real, and I'll explain in detail in a minute. But first, here's where we stand at this hour. Republican Ted Budd ran a great race, held great North Carolina, big win. J.D. Vance won by 7 in the state of Ohio. It was a huge night for almost every Republican in Florida. We'll have a lot more on that in a moment. And on the gubernatorial level, both Stacey Abrams and Beto Bozo O'Rourke, they were overwhelmingly rejected by voters yet again, in spite of a fortune being spent on both those races. Here's the scary part. This year, Democrats nominated those three people, the most extreme candidates in the history of this country. In Wisconsin, anti-law and order socialist Mandela Barnes lost by only 1 point to incumbent Senator Ron Johnson. In Georgia, radical Raphael Warnock just forced a runoff with Herschel Walker. Warnock, you know, the guy that referred to the police as gangsters and thugs, and, of course, wants to defund the police, demanding that America repent for its whiteness, praising the likes of Fidel Castro, the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, the radical racist and virulent anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan. He was accused of running over his estranged wife with a car after a domestic dispute, and running a church camp that abused kids and obstructed justice, and was arrested for that. And yet nearly 2 million Georgians voted for this guy anyway. In Pennsylvania, you got the trust fund brat in a hoodie who never worked a day in his life. He's now senator-elect. He called for a moratorium on fracking, wants to empty Pennsylvania's prisons, including freedom for first and second-degree murderers, rapists, other violent felons, legalize drugs, wants to use your tax dollars to set up safe heroin injection sites for addicts. And in the spring, Fetterman suffered a massive stroke. Didn't even campaign until 500,000 plus votes, nearly 600, were already cast before the public in Pennsylvania barely saw him. He delivered the single worst debate performance in American history, and still, he got 2.6 million votes. Why? Because he'll be a rubber stamp for Biden. Anyway, no doubt Dr. Oz was dragged down in that race. Gubernatorial candidate Doug Mastriano, his position on abortion was obviously out of touch with the people of Pennsylvania, and Mastriano lost by 13 points. Oz lost by a little over 2 points, getting double-digit split tickets like this. By the way, that's almost unheard of. Also, the media never asked Fetterman the tough questions. They were complicit, as always. But ultimately, all three states, Wisconsin, Georgia, Pennsylvania, are getting harder and harder for Republicans to win. There are two things at play here. Nobody's talking about it. One, Democrats are voting blue no matter who. just like they did in 2020 with Joe Biden. I think they would vote for a corpse as long as it was a reliable Democratic vote. In other words, a new Green Deal socialist rubber stamp. Whatever Joe says, whatever Chucky says, they will do. Number two, there is, and it's especially been accelerated because of COVID, and of course the baby boomers now are retiring. There's been an accelerated migration now going on around the country. Not many people have been talking about it. You have people retiring, people wanting to get away from high taxes. They want good weather, a better quality of life. Baby boomers retiring, other Americans retiring. They're moving from states like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, to states like Texas, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and especially Florida. Look at this. According to the U.S. Census, from 2010 to 2020, roughly 274,000 people moved to the Sunshine State, the free state of Florida, every single year. Under Ron DeSantis, that number has only grown, peaking at nearly 850 new residents every single day. Think about that, 850 new people moving down to Florida every day. Now, a decade ago, Lee Zeldin, who ran a terrific campaign, probably would have carried New York if not for all of the New York Republicans that were smart, left New York for the no-income tax state of Florida. And clearly, these new residents are happy to call Florida their home. Governor DeSantis and Senator Rubio, their elected officials, by the way, will join us in a moment, were just reelected by nearly 20 points. They have done a phenomenal job, and now Florida is no longer a swing state. And by the way, Florida's election protocols should be a model for the entire country. As Rubio tweeted, quote, if Florida can count 7.5 million ballots in 5 hours, how can it take days for some states to count less than 2 million votes? Great question. We'll ask the senator in a second. And in fact, at this hour, all eyes are out west. This election is far from over, where the vote counting remains painfully slow. And by the way, it is an embarrassment, but we may not know the results, for example, in Alaska for a couple of weeks. How is that possible? In Nevada, the vote total has been hovering around 74% for hours and hours and hours on end. But Republican Senate candidate Adam Laxalt remains in the lead. And based on the remaining vote, he is in a very, very good position to win this race. As a matter of fact, moments ago, Laxalt tweeted, quote, of the 84,000 votes left to count in Clark County, Cortez Masto could win 63% of them, and she would still lose. That doesn't even take into account the gains we will make from rural counties. Great news for Republicans at this hour tonight. Now we go to the state of Arizona. The counting will likely go on for days, an embarrassment. It's which, by the way, I think they counted remember in Iraq, they had the vote that went forward and everybody was pointing up their purple finger. I think that voting went faster than what we're seeing in Arizona and Nevada. As of this afternoon, get this, Maricopa County announced that they still had over 400,000 plus ballots to be counted. You have to be kidding me. We go back to Marco Rubio's tweet. How did they do it in 5 hours, 7.5 million? And this is the mess that is Arizona? Take a look.
But we've got, as Stephen just mentioned, over, and we don't know the exact numbers, but over about 400,000 votes yet to be counted and reported. And that's going to be taking place. And those are mainly, as Stephen mentioned, these are mainly the early votes that have been dropped off since Friday, including yesterday's very large number of at least 275,000. So again, that process is going to go on the recorder's side of the House, and when they have gone through that full verification process, then they will be turned over here to be tabulated.
Never mind the tabulators that weren't working. Anyway, how does this inspire confidence? How is this fair to the people of Arizona and the people in the 47 other states that deserve to know the outcome of this election? They have 275,000. Now, this is the interesting part. Of these votes were hand-delivered on Election Day. Sounds like people that want to make sure their vote is being counted. Maybe people that don't trust the system. Another 175,000 hand-delivered the weekend before Election Day. There were people really wanting their votes to be counted. And then you got tens of thousands more votes in rural counties that would greatly fit the profile of Republican voters that want to make sure that their vote was counted. Keep in mind, Arizona's incompetent, cowardly Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs, who should have recused herself, is overseeing this election and now hoping to be promoted to governor. Unfortunately for Hobbs, we believe the outstanding vote in Arizona is very favorable to Republicans. When all the votes are counted, Kari Lake is the odds-on favorite to win big. And in the Senate, Republican Blake Masters, he absolutely has a fighting chance to win his race as well. We're watching it closely. We can't tell you the outcome at this point. And now what happens in Arizona and Nevada could decide the balance of power in the U.S. Senate. Look where we are right now. And don't forget about the House, where Republicans will likely win the majority. And again, counting has been too slow, which is another national disgrace. This is important. It comes with the ability to investigate and issue subpoenas, and along with the power of the purse. Republicans will have that power in the House and now likely even in the Senate. Now Joe Biden is now suddenly willing to meet with Kevin McCarthy and other Republican leaders. He says that they have an obligation to work with him to unite the country. But in the last couple of weeks, he was smearing and slandering and besmirching and using every bit of character assassination and lie that he could, attacking them. Why would anybody want to sit with this guy?
They've emboldened violence and intimidation of voters and election officials. It's estimated that there are more than 300 election deniers on the ballot all across America this year. We can't ignore the impact this is having on our country. It's damaging, it's corrosive, and it's destructive. Compared to the mega, I call them, trickle-down economics that the Republicans offer these days. Folks, this ain't your father's Republican Party. This is a different breed of cat. Just look at the facts. Your right to choose is on the ballot. Your right to vote is on the ballot. Social Security and Medicare is on the ballot. There's something else on the ballot. Character. Character's on the ballot.
A different type of cat. Come on, man. That's a bunch of malarkey. Anyway, Republicans must reject this partisanship, investigate the Biden administration, hold them accountable, block Joe's radical proposals. That will now happen, and we can then begin the process of getting the country back on track. Now, we'll continue to monitor all the results out of Arizona and Nevada all night. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.